Deepti Garon joins me on the set today to take a look at what the papers have been saying. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
You're going to start in Washington with that announcement from the White House that it will not cooperate with the impeachment inquiry.
That's right. The White House called that inquiry unconstitutional. The Democrat-led House of Representatives is pursuing ahead with it. They're going to hear from the whistleblower who filed the complaint that sort of triggered the whole scandal. The editors of the Washington Post today deploring the fact that a few congressional Republicans, bar a few like Mitt Romney, are not really stepping up to their responsibility. The Post says Trump is betraying his oath of office, and if he continues like this, he could actually establish new baselines for future presidents. So that's a warning from the Post. For Tom Tolles, the cartoonist at the Post, he rather sees Donald Trump's costume this Halloween as an obstructionist. You see him here as a pumpkin who's refusing to give out candy to trick-or-treaters, even those with a subpoena, saying he'll only give candy to those who have dirt on Joe Biden.
The Wall Street Journal now says that the inquiry actually won't do a lot to change public opinion.
Yeah, and the conservative Wall Street Journal is really taking to task the Democrats today, saying they're not doing enough to persuade the Americans who don't already agree with them. They criticize the Democrats' attempt, notably, to keep secret the identity of the whistleblower, demanding whether it's really to protect the identity of the whistleblower or is it to prevent the American people from learning something that might cast doubt on these accusations.
Deepti, let's now move next to the showdown between the NBA, the National Basketball Association, and China.
Yeah, it's a story that actually began over the weekend. The NBA has been accused of an about-face by the Chinese state media. This after the Houston Rockets general manager expressed his support for Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters. The NBA, which of course has a huge business in China, called the statement inappropriate initially, but then yesterday it refused to apologize for that tweet, citing freedom of speech. Now, in its editorial today, the China Daily accuses the NBA of, quote, being honey-mouthed in the past, of pandering to, quote, China-bashing U.S. politicians. Now, the Wall Street Journal has a really interesting article today arguing that the NBA actually finds itself in a niche position where China needs it more than it needs China. China's 1.4 billion people population is a huge market for any enterprise, but while you can have multiple hotels, airlines, and clothing brands, there is only one NBA. For that reason, the NBA may be more strongly positioned to push back against China. But only time will tell if ruffling the feathers of China will have a lasting impact on its popularity there.
Lots of headlines, of course, Deepti, about Brexit still, as those talks between the UK and the EU have all but broken down.
Yeah, the UK accused German Chancellor Angela Merkel of hardening the EU's position around Brexit conditions ahead of that deadline on October the 31st. The EU clapped back, urging the UK to stop, quote, playing the stupid blame game. Kudos to Metro today, which has the best headline, "We're just going around in Merkel's," and I think it really does sum it up, doesn't it? The conservative Daily Telegraph's cartoonist Patrick Blower points the blame rather at the EU officials, whom he's called uncooperative crusties. This is what Brexit has come down to, who refuse to cooperate with their unanimous multilingual response of no.
All right, something completely different now, Deepti. It is that time of year. It's Fat Bear Week in Alaska. Just remind me, what's that?
So Fat Bear Week is this joyous occasion where we can take a break from an often depressing news cycle and observe the healthiest, hungriest, chunkiest bears in the Katmai National Park in southern Alaska. So there's a live cam that you can watch online. You can watch the bears, you can comment, you can vote as well on the chubbiest bears. And in fact, the fattest bear will be designated later this week. All summer, actually, you can watch them eat their weight in food, mainly salmon, stocking up for the winter hibernation period. So this year, the bears are happily fat, but this article here from New Republic warns that with depleting salmon populations, it may not be the case in the future. In any case, just know the final has set up a showdown between veteran mama bear 435 Holly and male bear 775 Lefty, who's actually named Lefty because he has a lopsided left ear.
And finally, if you have an extra $300,000 lying around, you might be interested in buying this.
A much sought-after domain name. That's right, Jeannie, and I say this with great irony. Democracycom is for sale. It's one of the most cherished domain names on the internet. It's selling in an auction starting at $300,000, so you probably need much more than that. Domain names are actually lucrative businesses. Voice.com was sold for $30 million. Insurance.com for nearly $36 million. and LasVegas.com, which has been sold, but it's a complex process. But basically, one day will be worth $90 million.
That's incredible. Deepti, thank you for that. Deepti Kalaron with that look at the press review today. Don't forget, you can always check it out again on our website, the address France24.com. It's time.